Listen-only mode.
Hello, Rural USA agents. This is Bob Patterson with eNeighborhoods coming to you today. We're going to talk about the BuyerTour module within eNeighborhoods. So to get started, one of the first things we're going to discuss is when you got your email the other day, it gave you the username and login. And once you logged in, it asked you to set up your profile information. However, though, if you have not set up your profile information, if you need to go in and do it, you can do so from the screen as you see here, where it says the head and shoulders, where the little red button is showing. You can actually go in and click that and go into the agent profile, where you can change your profile information. From this point, you can change your phone number, some other various items as you see on the screen here. What you cannot do, though, is you cannot actually change your name. That's embedded into the system itself, but the remainder of your email, your company, your address, other information that's pertinent to you can be changed as well. You do not need to worry about the license number because you're not required in the state of New York to have your license number. At the top, you see other tabs. You can go through these tabs and change these as well, your designations. Pretty self-explanatory here. Just select on the list. You can move it over if you like. Your photo, upload your photo that you may have saved somewhere on your computer. Your logo, which is a Real USA logo. The design tab, these are logos for the design center. These are when you create your flyers and brochures. Report settings, these are where you can change information about you, like your bio, your experience. These are pages within your, if you do a buyer tour, a neighborhood report, or your CMA. Always make sure that your MLS is, you've selected the correct MLS that you're associated with. So for instance, I've done Greater Binghamton here as mine. Custom, you can create custom headers for your pages as well. You can also add additional pages in it, which are documents. You can add your own custom pages with content. If you need to change and edit your password, you can do that at this point. Sometimes you might have an issue where your actual eNeighborhoods software might close after you've changed the password, but just log back in if that does happen to you. Email signature, you can leave it by itself. It'll already propagate your information, or you can change this any way you like for it to look. Once you've made any changes in here, just hit finish, and it'll update your profile page. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to hit cancel and go on. So we're logged into the dashboard for eNeighborhoods. And if you've seen any of the other webinars, you'll know that all these different modules here are those modules you can have access to other than the website and homes.com. So today we're doing the buyer tour. We're going to be talking about the buyer tour and what the buyer tour is about. So I'm going to click on buyer tour. I'm going to go into client information. This is typically where you're going to start off at. So a couple things to remember if you're going to start new. If you hit the new button, it's going to refresh. So I'll go ahead and give you an example here. So you can put in there the date for your buyer tour. The client is Larry Looker, for instance. With regard to the address, let me tell you about the address line. Because we have driving directions within the buyer tour, so you need to remember that whatever address you start off with is where our driving directions start off. So for instance, you guys are in New York, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. If you were to put my address here in Atlanta, Georgia for the driving directions for the buyer tour, it would actually start here in Atlanta and drive me to New York first. So depending where you're going to meet your buyers the first day, you might meet them at the office, you might meet them at a restaurant, or you might meet them at the very first house. If there's a specific address you're going to meet them at that's other than the first home you're going to show them, you can actually put whatever address that might be in, 777, whatever it might be, but I'm not going to say this right now. If it's going to be the very first house, just leave this empty, and the driving directions will start off at the first house. So with all of our programs, you can either go through the steps 1, 2, 3, 4 through 7, or you can use the advanced arrow here on the right-hand side. So right now I do not have any listings that I'm going to show my buyer. So I've gone into my Binghamton MLS and I've searched for properties. And I'm going to export those properties I want to show my buyers and import them into eNeighborhoods. So I'm going to go over here to the left where it says Import MLS Data. Pretty simple here. Go to the Browse bar. I'm going to go to my desktop, and I have a file that I've saved here that has Binghamton listings. So I'm going to go find what that particular listing is. Excuse me, that file. And it's called Vestal Neighborhoods. So you now see that it's in here in the Browse bar, and I'm going to upload the file. Upload the file now. And here's the properties. Unfortunately, what I did was I added an expired listing, a sold, and a sold as well. I don't necessarily want to show the sold and expired on this, so I'm going to actually delete this listing. I'm going to delete this sold in my BuyerTour. I'm also going to delete the expired as well because we won't be able to see that. So I've got 4 properties I'm going to show my buyers. Next step is you can either go to Map. I'm going to go ahead and click on Map. So as the map will come up, and it's going to show the properties that are in here. So I've got a couple spread out here. Here's the first one. You can actually click on it. It will show you the actual property itself. Here's number 2. So within the map itself, some of the things that you can do is on the right-hand side, you can actually see these in a BuyerTour format in the satellite view. You also can do it in a hybrid view. The hybrid actually overlays the street names onto the map. So you see I-86, there's 26, State University of New York. As you get closer in, it's going to start putting more streets on here. But we're kind of spread out with where the properties were. So I'm going to go center the map by clicking right in the middle. And then we're going to go over to, on the left-hand side, I'm going to go back to the map as an example. I'm going to exit out of here. You can also go in, click on this particular property. Then you can actually do it in a bird's eye view. And the property will come up in a bird's eye view, which is Microsoft Bing. You can either close this one, you can print this out if you like to. When you're in this particular format, the consumer, if you've sent this BuyerTour to the consumer as a link, we'll talk about that in a minute on the publish, they'll be able to actually see this the way it is here. But you can also print this out and add it to the report as well. One of the other things you can do is you can do it at a street view. We're all probably have seen the Google Street Views. Sometimes street views cannot be shown due to it being in a gated community. And this is probably one of those situations as well. We don't get 100% results from the Google with a street view. And this is probably this in gated community more than less. You can also add map notes if you like. So I'm going to exit out of this. Go to a map note. Come over here to the right. Just click on the area that you want to add a map note to it. So it's just like putting comments in Word, for instance. So you can write whatever you want to in here, or you can put on here, do like neighborhood stats. You can do school stats if you'd like, or housing stats. So let's say it's going to be school stats. So school stats are going to be put right on here, and when this is actually printed out, the school stats will be here as well. If you want to add another map note to it, for instance, let's say we're going to add another map note right here. Now I'm going to put neighborhood stats. So it added additional neighborhood information stat as well. You can also add boundaries if you like. Boundaries being in census tract, counties, school district tracts if you'd like to as well. By just outlining these areas, by clicking this, you'll be able to get that. Also do legends if you would like to. Legends being where there's parks, schools, synagogues, etc. As you see this one, will actually put these icons on the actual map itself. So the next one we're going to go to is actual loan types. So in the loan types, you can actually change these if you'd like. Say, for instance, you want this to be 15% down. Let's say this one's going to be 25% down. Say, for instance, this is going to be 15% down. With the 15% down, which is probably not typical, here's 5.5. Let's say this is 5.75. And this is 6. We'll leave it there. Let's say you want to leave everything exactly the same as it is here. You can go over here and do save loan scenarios. You can have different loan scenarios in each one of your BuyerTour programs. So I'm going to hit OK here. And when you come back into it the next time, there it is. Loan type number 1 is shown in there. So that's, from now you're going to have, however many you save, you're going to see on this pull down menu how many loan types that you've done. So I'm going to leave this at loan type number 1.